Let me take you back. As you started with your first investor, what were some of the hiccups or fears that you came across and you had to overcome them? And how did you get into their psyche,
I love it. Yes. So I'm the head of investor relations, right? So I'm the person who's actually spoken to each and every, like I mentioned, hundreds of investors over the last, I don't even know how many at this point. But when we first started, right, because we're from Canada,
Yeah.
the thing that really that really and I want to just give it to anybody who's speaking to anybody. There needs to be three elements. There needs to be a know, like, and trust. For any investor to really give you their money, their hard-earned money that they've been working so hard to build. How we did it here at CPI is right away we started doing the educational approach, becoming thought leaders, and really knowing our stuff. So when an investor showed up and started asking questions, right away being open with them and honest with them about everything and teaching them, okay, this is how it works. Hey, by the way, I remember our first deal. By the way, we haven't done this before. You're going to be investing in our first asset that we're going to be purchasing in the United States. The really cool thing is that I had a track record here in Canada, and so did August, right? We had our real estate companies for years and years, me a decade, him 15 years. So we already had kind of that track record here in Canada, which people kind of appreciated, I guess, but we didn't have it in the United States. So as I was speaking to investors and I was saying, hey, I'm invest into my limited partnership. It's a Canadian entity, and I'd walk them through how the taxation works. And they really need to know, like, and trust you, right? That is the key. And that's investor by investor. People put their trust in me. People put their faith in me. And I'll always remember the people who invested with me first. And some of them weren't family and friends. They were people who heard about me. They got on a call with me. They spent an hour on a call, got on another call with me. I answered all their questions. They felt comfortable. My investors are my babies, right? It's my key objective is to make sure that they feel comfortable, because I always tell everybody, never invest in a business that you cannot understand. That's what Warren Buffett says, right?
Yep. Yep.
When you really spend the time as a person that wants to partner with investors, spend the time creating a really strong relationship so that they know that they're taken care of. And then it's easy for them. It's easy for them. Once they understand how everything works, obviously we're investing in something that's spectacular. The answer is a no-brainer for them after that.
So true, so very true. You put together. So did you have to prepare some like PowerPoint slides and things? And I know with COVID happening, right? From last all year and now this year. So how did you tackle going through Zoom meetings and all that, or how?
Really, you know what? I took advantage of COVID. I stayed in my house, and you and I were talking about it because we get to get dressed up today, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I thought it was really exciting because sweatpants wearing around the house and not really being able to go anywhere. I'm like, yes, I get to get dressed up. This is so exciting. So what I did was, it was hilarious. We put together, I think, a 70-page PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, wow.
Because keep in mind, we're presenting to a lot of Canadians, saying, okay, first of all, why the US, right? So that's the first thing. Then why multifamily? And then how does everything work? So it was like the 70-page document, and I would go and I'd present it, and what I did? I made lots of relationships with people who already had a massive following network. And what I noticed is you want to get the word out, go to somebody that has a big following and go speak on their platform, and then boom, you have people signing up right away. Because in Canada, investing across border in a syndication is a very foreign concept. So when people hear, actually, it's even foreign concept for US investors, right? A lot of people don't know about it, as we were discussing. So that's what I did, Vinney. I took advantage of COVID. I went and I spoke on so many platforms, like throughout Canada and the US. And I started seeing some traction happening, and our database started building and building and building, and then US investors started reaching out to us because it's in their own backyard, but they realized, they already had that no with me because they seen me speaking, and they started following my YouTube channel, and then they got on a call with me, and then the trust kind of comes as you execute and move forward.
Sure, for sure. So let me I know a lot of people listening or watching us will say, what are the tax ramifications? So could you take us through that? And, I know lots of people, is it very similar, Canadian investors or like from India, for example, right? A lot of people reach out to me from Bombay and Delhi and all, they want to invest over here. So take us through your investor. How do you find, what's the right easy way to explain to anybody how this taxation works for the cash flow, equity gain, how the money comes in, through the money lot, the biggest thing is the money laundering, all those schemes, right? So take us wherever you want to take us. Yeah.
Absolutely, I would love to, because this is a key part of investing across borders. How does the tax work, right? So what we've done is we set up a flow-through entity. So our Canadian entity, all our Canadian investors invest into the Canadian entity in US dollars, and all returns are done in US dollars, but we pool together our capital and we come in as one strong entity into the entity that owns the asset on the US side. Now, you do have to actually file taxes to both the CRA and the IRS on both sides of the border. But what we do is we structure it as return of capital for our Canadian investors. So we're actually just giving them their capital back. That's the cash flow that we're receiving, right? From the rents we collect, we're giving them our monthly distributions we give our investors. We're actually calling it return of capital.
Return of capital, not return on capital.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's different for the Canadians. The US, it's return on in some cases, and Canadians, return of. So it's a little bit different. Now, that's for the term of the project. Now, when we sell the asset in 3 to 5 years, our business model is to hold roughly 3 to 5 years. On the profits gained on the back end, the IRS wants to get paid, right? So they do a withholding tax. Now, the cool thing is Canada and the US have a treaty, okay?
Yep.
Which is really incredible. So the IRS does a withholding tax, let's say 20%. When the funds come back to Canada, the CRA says, okay, you've paid the IRS their 20%, you get a foreign tax credit, now you only owe us whatever's left per your tax bracket. They're relieved dollar for dollar on double taxation.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So actually the Canadian investors don't have to pay twice. No, what they paid here 20% because it's a long-term capital gain, like you said, 3 to 5 years of the equity gain, but the cash flow that they got in 3 years is the return of capital. So there is no gain, there is no cash flow. It's just they are getting their money back.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
And then on the back end, it's dollar for dollar relief from double taxation. So it's really, really, if you're ever investing across border, make sure you speak to somebody who really knows their stuff, because I know a lot of Canadians, they purchase assets in the US and they were told the wrong information and they ended up being triggered. The double taxation ended up being triggered. So it's very important that the entities that are set up, the flow through structure is set up appropriately, and just make sure you really are doing it right, because that's the joy. If you do it correct, you're golden.
Awesome. So do you then, you invest in one specific property, let's say in Florida. So do you form do you do syndication as combining the monies and all process, like offering memorandum in Canada and then raise all the money, but then you have a domestic LLC probably in USA where the money flows from Canada to this LLC, and that LLC is putting money into the syndicator, right? Or how?
It's a little bit different. So we have our Canadian entity, and then we have the entity that owns the asset on the US side. Okay. So the entity that owns the asset, actually, the funds flow back and pay the Canadian entity as one investor. Okay. As one investor, and then that entity, we distribute all the monies to our individual investors that are form part of the Canadian entity.
Love it, love it, love it. So the fund, the big fund will have the money, and then this asset over here is bringing back the money back, and then you K1s out. Is it K1 or what do you do over there in
We
Canada?
actually, yeah, really good question. So our investors get a K1, Schedule K1 form for this side, but we actually convert it to the Canadian version, which is called a T5013 slip. So they get, yeah, they get both of those, but we do the conversion for our Canadian investors, and then we upload it to their investor portal, and they can just download it, take it to their Canadian accountant, and they're good to go.
Awesome, awesome. As a matter of fact, there was this company that reached out to me 5 years back, I think, Update Capital from Vancouver,
Okay.
and they were the portal of investor portal, and I went ahead with them. They even featured me and all that, which was amazing. But then there are other portals now like IMS and Appfolio and other ones. Which one have you found, which is good one for you?
You know what? I actually built my investor portal with my exempt market dealer.
I love it. I love it.
So we actually built our portal to really facilitate the investment process, super simplified, right? So everything's done in the portal. So our investor gets onboarded. Here in Canada, we actually have to accreditate the investor. They have to verify that they're an accredited investor. We're a syndicate, right? So we're project specific. So each syndication project that we do is different. Some may allow for non-accredited investors depending, but our majority of the deals are accredited investors. So through our portal, we don't have a third-party verification companies here in Canada. We don't have that. So we actually have to verify that they're accredited through an exempt market dealer is what it's called. Very similar to a broker dealer in the US. So through our portal, they get to upload their accreditation paperwork, verifying that they're accredited investor. And then what that does is it opens them up for investment. And when we have a live offering, which we currently have a live offering, what happens is they're open to click invest now, and then the subscription agreement, also known as the PPM on your side of the border. It's called the subscription agreement. They can sign it through the portal, and then they transfer funds through the portal as well. And then we upload all the tax documents and everything right there. So it's, when I say passive investing, I mean passive investing.
Total passive. I love it. With the convenience of anybody's, office or home, they could meet with you online, or, now COVID is gone, hopefully, meet in person. But, in my case, 430 investors we have, I think I maybe met 32.
Wow, really?
Just 32 over the last 14 years. But mostly it's been through phone call or people referring it other people, and then on Zoom and WebEx and all those things,
That's really incredible. And that's why we need to have events so that people can come and meet us in person.
Exactly.
Very powerful, and it's very just special when you get to meet your investors in person.
Totally. It's so much exciting. And, like we do, I'm sure you do it too, like sending gifts around Thanksgiving. We do Thanksgiving here. My daughter, Monica Chopra, she's our VP of operations, and she'll be the president. I'm the CEO of 4 companies now, but she's stepping up more and more into it. Yeah, and then my wife is, of course, our VP of investor relations, and other people in the team like that, But let me ask you a question. We'll go right into it now. So tell us more, how do you nurture your relationships with investors? Yeah. Do you do newsletters? Do you do webinars with the existing ones? And take us there.
Absolutely. So we have our YouTube show where we bring on expert guest speakers, two of them every single week. That's one way. We send out weekly, we used to do monthly newsletters, but now we do weekly newsletters. Show our investors, what platforms we spoke on. Maybe we've been featured in news publications, but also we provide actual news of what's happening in the multifamily sector. So that's something really that we always want to keep our investors up to date on as well. We're going to be hosting some in-person investor events now that COVID's opened up a little bit more and so forth. So we're excited for that. And then yeah, I have a lot of my investors who can just text me or call me, or I'm constantly kind of in communication. But on our assets, we give them monthly updates on what's happening with the asset. You know, what did we do in the community that month? What renovations have been done? What occupancy's at? That's the beauty about these kind of investments. You can really be as involved as much as you want to be. But that's a way that we really nurture our investors. And Christmas is coming, so we sent our investors a nice little Christmas gift in the mail as well.
Excellent, excellent, fabulous. You know, oh wow, you know, we should definitely dig into the book. Yeah, you just authored. Take us there. Yeah, how did it start? I know writing book is pretty daunting. I mean, when I did mine, you know, it took me 2 years to write this book. You know, but tell us more. What inspired you? And take us there. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, when I got approached to be part of this book, it was me and it was 10 of us all together. So me and 9 other women across Canada who wanted to share their success stories in real estate investing. And it was an opportunity for me to kind of share my story with the masses of people because, you know, we're really trying to inspire women. You know, it's woman investing is kind of what the book is about, to really inspire women about, you know, becoming more and more popular, that women are starting to invest in real estate, right? But a lot of them are scared to take that first step. It's a scary world out there, and there's a lot of I don't knows and everything like that. So we wanted to really say, hey, listen, this is my story. These are the trenches that I went through. And if I can do it, so can you. Yeah. So it was really coming together and telling our stories and being very vulnerable in our stories, because, you know, you look at somebody and you go, oh, wow, they're doing so well, but it's really fun to hear where they came from and what they went through, right? And maybe I can kind of get vulnerable with your crowd and maybe kind of share a little bit about what I would
love that. And the book's name is From Ordinary to Extraordinary. I love the title, and please share with us. Yeah.
Yeah, so in my story in the book,